Hi guys!
Hi Katja.
So, yet again, ask questions, answer if you want, both of you, one of you, doesn't really matter,
Okay.
however you feel.
Okay.
So, what was your main inspiration for Chaos Create?
Okay, so Chaos Create, the idea I came up with the idea for it a few years prior to the pandemic, and it was just something that popped in my head that I was like, you know, the idea of, you know, going from a chaos state to a create state, and what that process is like, because that's the way I see things. That's essentially what it is, right? It's like you come through chaos, and then there's like some kind of trauma, or there's something that you need to get out of your system, and you need to express it, and that's where the create part comes in, and then, you know, you create by either creating art or music or painting or drawing or whatever it is. That's kind of what Chaos Create is about.
Follow-up question,
Okay.
not on the list, but I'll
Sure.
add it. Did
Sure.
you find that it was therapeutic to create this album after after, I'm putting in loose quotations, the pandemic?
Well, the album was done during the pandemic, before it was announced that it's endemic, whatever that fucking means now.
That's definitely not endemic. But
No,
okay.
no. Well, they said it's endemic, but I don't think it is. But sorry.
Even after, so even though you created it during the pandemic, do you find that it's therapeutic now, looking back at it?
Well, for me, doing music, period, is like therapeutic. Like, if I'm not doing music, then it's literally like, I will get into trouble mentally. Like, I will feel like shit. I might get into trouble actually, and it's just like, I need to have that. Is it a need or a want? I need to have that outlet, because like I said, if I don't, I'm gonna get into trouble, and I might, you know. For me, it's a mental health thing. It's like, I'm trying to keep myself sane, and I know a lot of, you know, artists and stuff, they're trying to exercise their demons, and it's like, I don't really have demons per se, but it's become part of the way I cope with, you know, what's going on in the world. So
Yeah. Okay. For both of you, why should someone come out and see your live show?
Because they suck if they don't.
You got anything else to say on that, Brooke?
No, not really.
No, that's good.
I would say we try to keep things fun. Like, you know, Brooke was always joking around on stage and stuff, and like the last show we did 2 nights ago or whatever it was, Brooke was like,
I was pulling a little bit of a teal Litterman, if you will.
yeah. He was basically trying to fuck me with his guitar, so you know, we try and keep it fun. Like, you know, the music's positive, and you know, don't take ourselves too seriously, and it's just like, you know, ultimately in the end, as long as we're having fun and stuff, and you know, energetic positivity, keep, you know, just fun. It's fun.
The 2 times my girlfriend actually saw me on stage performing as part of Twitch, her impression of me was, I am a serious rock god. Laugh at me!
Not wrong.
Yeah.
Mainly because, you know, I act like I'm all dark and tough or whatever,
Yeah.
but everybody knows that it's just a joke,
Yeah.
what I'm doing
Yeah.
when I'm up on stage.
What about you? What do you try to show the audience?
I try and just be, you know,
Are you the serious rock god?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more serious. Like, granted, we try and keep the shows fun and stuff, but at the same time, it's like I'm a little bit more serious. I mean, not too serious, but definitely more serious. You know, I'm trying to get a message of positivity out there and stuff like that. But you know, you can't have at least the way I view it is you can't have a message of positivity and be fucking like super serious and shit all the time. So yeah.
How long have you guys been doing live shows together?
We started, back in 2015?
I don't even know.
I think that was 2015 was the year that I essentially became part of Twitch.
Yeah, I
for
don't
live
even
shows.
recall the fucking dates or anything like that. I don't recall any of that. I just remember, yeah, maybe it was 2014. I don't know, I can't remember. I'm looking at my posters on the wall here and I'm like, when was Brooke in Twitch? When was the first time he was there?
I think it was in the spring of 2015. After
'Cause you were,
Spencer, who was part of my Pendant 9 project, he
Yeah.
emailed me saying that he no longer really wants to be part of any band. I mean, it wasn't personal or anything like that. He just doesn't like being in a serious music project. He just likes to jam and whatnot, right? So I was like, and I always got that impression from him from the get-go. And so I just said, I appreciate your honesty and whatnot. I was kind of finding it hard to find somebody else to replace Spencer as part of Pendant 9. So it was, from that point on, I decided just keep it as a solo project. But I still wanted to continue performing, and so I know Shayne did send me the invite a long time ago to play guitar for Twitch. So I decided to message him and take him up on his offer.
yeah, and that's kind of what it is. And just as a piece of commentary, as far as like, Brooke being a part of Twitch for the live show, we're pretty dedicated and stuff. Like, Brooke he always shows up. He always puts in the work. He like I don't know any like music theory or anything, but it's like when we're rehearsing and stuff, or we're rehearsing a new song, it's like I have no idea what notes the guitar is in or anything, but like, we'll go through it and Brooke will figure that out. I don't have to like try and figure out what the fucking notes or the chords or anything, and Brooke figures that out, and he makes notes and stuff like that, and yeah.
So that's a great segue into the next question, actually. What's the strongest musical attribute that each of you brings to the table? Very interview-like.
You want to start with this one?
Yeah, I would say honestly, Brooke, like his music theory knowledge, his classical guitar training, I think has helped with that. Just solid guitarist, he knows his shit, and yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah. As far as I know, I mean, like, I don't really contribute to the writing for Twitch. I just am the live guitarist, but I would say with my background does help contribute to being how tight Twitch is when we're on stage.
Yeah.
Agreed. This is another very job interview-like question.
Yeah.
What's the worst habit each of you brings to the table?
Probably me acting like pulling a Teal Liederman on stage and doing very gross and perverse things, like trying to.
Well, he was trying to fuck me with a guitar.
Yeah, trying to fuck Shayne up the ass with a guitar, and trying to fuck individual male members of the audience with the guitar as well.
I wasn't at the live show. What end of the guitar were you using?
The
head.
Ah,
the sharp
okay.
end.
At least it wasn't the other end. I mean, that's impressive if it was.
I mean, if you could shove that up someone's ass, that would be very
Impressive.
Impressive, yes.
Yes.
The other end, not so much, but the larger end, the body of the guitar, yeah, that would be impressive. So.
So what about you? What's the worst attribute you bring to the table?
Well, I'm not sure. I feel like like I'm trying. For me, I've been adding this like spoken element to the shows where I'm like speaking in between the songs, and I feel like I'm not as skilled in that, and it's sometimes I'm like, granted we rehearse that stuff too
Mhm.
as well, like we rehearse, what generally we're gonna say and stuff, but I do feel like it is a little bit of a weakness for me because I wouldn't say it's a bad habit or anything, like I don't even know what a bad habit is, to be honest with you. I think outside of this, like the speaking, being a little bit difficult, because I feel like a lot of the times I ramble on and shit, but as far as like a bad habit, I don't know what a bad habit is. We're pretty dedicated when we rehearse and stuff. I don't get really too crazy and shenanigan-y like Brooke does on stage, but maybe my bad habit is I'm a little too serious about it. I don't know. I know.
Yeah, so I guess that's what we do, is we kind of counterbalance our bad habits when we're on stage.
Yeah. Yep.
If you could meet anybody, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, Jesus Christ, on a Harley, where do I start? Not Jesus Christ.
Oh,
And certainly not on a Harley. Although it might be entertaining.
that would be badass.
It might be badass.
Being a dang dong, my dang along, ling long.
Yeah. Building my hot rod. Dead, I would say probably James Randi, as he has been an inspiration for me ideologically.
Was that the dude from Death?
James Randi? No, he's
Okay.
the magician who
Oh,
who was also the skeptic who was challenging people who made these paranormal claims to put them to the test under controlled conditions, and
Yeah.
would offer $1 million reward to anybody who did. Nobody ever claimed the $1 million reward. Mind
Yeah.
you. But I actually sampled James Randi's TED Talk
Yeah.
in one previous song that I released called not Freedom of Oppression, but Sialism. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, he died not too long ago. He was he died in his Toronto home, and he was survived by his husband. Just in 2020, actually. So
wow.
just during the pandemic.
Wow.
But it would. Prior to that, it would have been amazing to see him do one of his TED Talks.
Yeah.
Living. Actually, also dead, probably Chuck Schuldiner,
The Death guy.
the Death guy.
Yeah.
Because Death was one of the bands that got me interested in music that involved a lot of shred guitar and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
As for alive, who would I want to meet?
David Townsend.
With whom I have met numerous times.
Oh, okay.
I even interviewed Devin twice on my radio show at CJ's.
Okay.
So, other than him, I can't really think of anybody else at the top of my head, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe Deepak Chopra so I can punch him in the throat.
Deepak Chopra. Oh, fuck yeah. I guess I'll start with Dead. I would have liked to have met Genesis P. Orge.
Mhm.
Granted, probably not the best person, but and I did see Psychic TV at Dickens a few years ago at Sled Island.
Mhm.
Excellent show. I'm glad I went because that was the last time I saw Genesis, and also the first time. So, but I would have really liked to have a conversation with Genesis about you know, industrial music. Granted, I don't know how much they would want to talk about that, but you know, just you know, that kind of, you know, conversation and just see where it kind of goes and stuff like that. Alive, I think you probably know who it is.
Yeah.
But I do love Nine Inch Nails, and I you know, if I could meet anyone, it would be Trent Reznor. Yeah. Yeah. I know some people think he's not nice, but and maybe he's not, maybe he's an asshole, but I would still like to meet him just to, you know, just to say I did, you know. So.
All right. Follow up to that question a little bit, sort of, not really, kind of. Who are your 3 biggest musical influences?
Do you want to start this one? Or?
Yeah, sure. Once again, I'm sure people know this. Nine Inch Nails, Korn, and it's hip hop in general. I can't name a specific hip hop artist. I do like a lot of different hip hop. I do like, you know, Ice-T just for his attitude and stuff. I like some of the newer stuff as well, like Drake, and I also like Jay-Z. I also liked Run DMC. I think they were kind of like the ones who kind of got that whole thing rolling. They were very positive and I would say almost educational in their hip hop. Yeah, I would say those. Sorry, the question was bands.
Yeah.
What bands? Yeah, I would say that those would be the main influences. There's other ones in there, but like the main ones are Nine Inch Nails, Korn, and yeah, the main ones are Nine Inch Nails, Korn, and then just a random selection of hip hop. So.
I have way too many to count, but if I have to pick 3, they would be Devin Townsend, Gary Newman, and Johann Sebastian Bach.
Interesting combination.
Bach was a key figure, key influence in my composition style. When I was studying music theory in university, I basically went from knowing almost nothing to knowing how to write Bach-Rel. You probably would hear some of that in some of the stuff I write for Pandemic 9, such as for Revisitation in D minor, which is on my Quarantine Diaries album, as well as reprogramming in G. Sorry, did I say D minor or D major?
D
I think you said D minor.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually D major.
Very different.
Yeah. So and then Revisitation in G minor, which is off of my latest album, Stellar Parallax. Both involve like a lot of what Bach would do in a lot of his interlude or introductory pieces, which I used to study when I was doing classical guitar in university. I guess synth-wise, Gary Newman has been one of the key inspirations for me for that. And of course, Devin Townsend, you know, who one of the major reasons why he inspired me was that he was able to show that you can be hard and heavy and intense, but also be kind of beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
And very bright and positive. And even though I have my own project has a negative name, a lot of my instrumental pieces do have a rather positive vibe to them. I tend to play most of them in a major key, and I would say that is reflective of my Devin Townsend influence. Some honorable mentions: Frontline Assembly, Skinny Puppy. Skinny Puppy would probably be a key influence in how I name my tracks, like In Basil.
Yeah.
putting the ba in between in and sil. That would be a good latest example. And others, some of the latest examples will be Neurotech from Sylvania, I think. He had a similar inspiration to me as Devin Townsend does.
Yeah.
Who else? Lenny Brew, jazz guitarist who died, I think, in 1982, but he did an album in the early 1980s, I think in 1980, called Cabin Fever, which was an inspiration for a lot of my improv that I would do on my classical guitar.
Yeah.
Miles Davis, another honorable mention for me, especially when I was studying music. And that's the thing for me when it comes to music. I tend to try to take a few notes from the jazz and the classical folks, especially also as far as classical goes. Besides Bach, also who else? Gustav Holst. I think Holst has just about inspired every heavy metal or industrial or any remotely intense modern artist. I mean, some people argue that Mars the Bringer of War is the very first metal song, right? Because of because of the main notes, which were like root, minor 6, and perfect 5th, which was also how Geezer Butler did the bass line for the song Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
And
I
it's,
can hear.
yeah. While Tony Iommi did root, octave, and diminished 5th. Actually, no, what Geezer Butler did was root, perfect 5th, and
This is
diminished
what I'm
5th.
talking about. He has the music theory.
Yeah.
I understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Which was also how Holst wrote Mars the Bringer of War. And that was also how, what was that band from England, Diamond Head, how they did the intro to the song Am I Evil, which is more known for its Metallica cover.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say a lot of my inspirations are all over the place. Everybody from metal guys, as prog rock guys like Devin Townsend, Dream Theater, Ozzy Tentacles, to industrial like Skinny Puppy, Frontline Assembly, to synth pop like Gary Newman, some goth bands, some jazz, including Miles Davis and Lenny Brew, and as well as classical composers like Bach and Holst, Fernando Sor, Giuliani. So yeah, I'm a little bit all over the place that way.
I would actually say, like, just to continue what we're discussing here, like, it also depends on, at least for me, the music that's being written at the time, because sometimes I'm influenced by pop music or like experimental hip hop, or it like the general influences are definitely like Nine Inch Nails, Korn, and like whatever hip hop artist it is, but like Brooke, it is like that's not solely what it is. Like I've had songs that are influenced by EDM. I actually have several songs like that with the 4/4 beat and all that kind of stuff, and some inspired by bands that I'm not too fond of anymore. But it semi depends on the like. There'll be other subtle influences depending on what album I'm working on or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned bands you're not really inspired by anymore. Like for me, Dream Theater being one of them. I mean, I'll still do, like for a lot of the stuff I do for Pandemic 9, a lot of weird time signatures and whatnot, right?
Yeah, oh totally.
But I just don't like Dream Theater's sappiness, especially in their slower songs. You know, there's only so much of it that I can listen to without feeling like screaming. But as far as some of their unpredictability and some of the songs like Rotomania, for example, where they would do 5/4, 5/4, 5/4, 6/8, 5/4, 5/4, 5/4, 6/8.
Yeah.
You know, the look that Katja is kind of giving me is kind of okay. For those who can't see it, it's more like this.
I was trying to picture that in my head. I'm gonna have to go look that up. That's chaotic.
So 5/4, you know, is a good example of that would be the Mission Impossible theme.
Yeah.
Or or the introduction to Mars the Bringer of War by Hulse, that's in 5/4. Same with do you know the song Take 5? Dun 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 dun. That's also in 5/4. I write a good number of my music for Pendant 9 and 5/4 as well. Some of it also in 7/8. I think one song I did, Element, where I kind of did like a 12/8, 16, 18, 16, 8 or something like
No,
that.
I understand what he's talking about. I'm just trying to picture it in my head.
Yeah.
That's
I don't understand like
depending on the tempo. That's really freaking fast.
I don't understand like 5/4. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1,
Is that
2.
what it is?
Yeah, so it's 5 quarter notes within a measure. So
Okay.
4/4 is 4 quarter notes. You know,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, okay.
4, 5.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Learned something new today.
6/8's really fast.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, the difference.
12, what was it? 12/8 that you were saying? That's really
1,
fast.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, it's kind of got a bit of a swing to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost for like syncopated pieces. Work really
interesting.
well on that time.
That's cool.
All right, going on. Now that we've given the people watching / listening a lesson in musical theory, which is always not necessarily a bad thing. So,
No, it's not.
so one thing you learned today.
Yeah.
Name one piece of gear you had. You wish you had.
I don't actually. I think I have every piece that I want. As a band grows, I think you add additional pieces. Like, for instance, like if we were playing bigger shows, there'd be a different setup as far as the live shows go. But honestly, like I'm not one of those people who has like gear acquisition syndrome where it's like I'm always looking for new toys to play with. I like if there's anything that I want right now, it would probably be a new audio MIDI interface. But even that, I'm kind of like, do I really want one? Like the one I currently have, the Motu Ultralight MK3, is fairly solid. Like I've had it since I think 2012 or something like that. So it's 10 years and it's solid. Like it's a solid unit. It's made for gigging with. Like the housing on it is like fucking like it's like I don't know if it's steel, but it's like some kind of metal.
Takes a beating.
Yeah, it can take a beating and stuff. Like actually, the funny thing is actually when I got that, the woman that was, she had to open. I went along McQueen in the north here, and the woman had to take it out of the box so that she could get the registration. What is that number?
Barcodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serial code or whatever, so that we could do the warranty stuff with it. And she, when she pulled it out, she was looking at it and she accidentally dropped it on the counter. And I was like, oh fuck, I hope it's not wrecked. And of course when I brought it home it was fine, but like it's a solid unit. Like, but like outside of like a new audio MIDI interface, I don't think there's anything that I'm really lusting after. Really, like I said, I'm not really one of those people who has gear acquisition syndrome. Like I have a few select pieces and I use them, and there's some things that I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have this, but honestly, I'm a minimalist when it comes to gear, so yeah.
Gear acquisition syndrome's acronym would be GAS.
Yep, that
So
is.
you
that
don't
is-
have GAS.
No, I don't. I don't have gas. And actually, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Like they call it gas. For
Do
short.
you have GAS?
Yes and no. I'd like to have some gear that will be much more carryable when I'm doing gigs. I don't care what it is as long as it sounds professional enough and that it doesn't sound like a child's toy and that I can carry around. Like what I use is right now for a synthesizer, for playing shows and for recording is a Core Triton, which used to be the keyboard back in the early 2000s. And anybody who was anybody in the music industry back then had one. But I find it's, and I used to carry it around for gigs as well, like even before I started Pandemic 9. And find that like back in my 20s I had no problem carrying around, but even though it was quite, for the lack of a better word to use, gravity friendly.
Yeah.
However, I would appreciate having something that's a little bit more light to carry around gigs. If I'm going far, if I want to be as minimal about my gear as possible, and if I can put together a set list where I don't really need to carry so much gear, then I would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even, and just more synthesizers in general, just to add to the flavor of what I'm doing musically, and maybe even a processor to add a little bit of extra flavor to my guitar other than just distortion and clean.
Yeah. I would actually say like I did do a little bit of a gear overhaul in the last couple of years because my main synthesizer, the hardware synth, I got a bunch of aftermarket upgrades for it, and one of them is an SD card reader, so I can save all the patches in the synth. And unfortunately, there's no mount for it, so I had to kind of just place it in the synth. And obviously, there's an SD card in there, and it's like I don't want to be carrying that around. And if I'm doing a show and the SD card gets jostled out of the reader, then I will have to turn over the fucking synth and unscrew everything and search for the fucking SD card somewhere in my synth, and I may not even get it outside of my synth. So I decided to kind of retire that, and like Brooke was saying, like with my setup, I've been. The idea is that it's portable now, like really easily transportable. Like my entire kit, I can literally put in a larger backpack, but a backpack, and outside of the merch items and stuff like that, and the stand for my gear, it's all super portable, super easy to travel with. I have traveled with it actually. I did a show in Edmonton in February, I think, and that was the first time I actually tested everything, the portable setup, and I actually quite like having a portable setup because it's just easier to deal with. You're not having to carry around a 40-pound synthesizer or whatever it is, and yeah, I think at least that's yeah. I don't no gear list or anything like that, and yeah, so.
All right. Follow-up question to that. And I feel like I know the answer to this. What is the one piece of gear you can't live without, and why?
Certainly my amp and a 7-string guitar. Any 7-string guitar, even whether it's the ones I currently have or any others, or even if I could upgrade to an 8-string. I like the 7-string because I can play those low notes without having to pull an arch enemy and then tune everything down 2.5 whole tones to give that deeper sound, so to speak. Whereas I can just stay in standard and have that extra low B string that I can create the heavier tones with. And of course, the synthesizers that I have, the Triton that for making the synthy sounds I use, and just having a DAW as well for recording and doing editing and things like that. And I do a lot lately. I've been using a lot of the synths plugins on my DAW for my most recent work.
For those of us that are not
Digital audio workstation.
Thank you. I was going to say.
Digital audio workstation.
Basically, a digital audio workstation is just recording software, but it has like software synthesizers inside of it. So like, if you have a MIDI keyboard, or it could be any MIDI capable synthesizer or keyboard, you can control the soft synth, because there's hardware synths and then there's software synths. Hardware synths are like everything is built into the unit and you make sounds from within that unit. But soft synth is like, it's actually software that you're connecting some kind of controller to into your digital audio workstation, and you're triggering things and stuff. So yeah.
What's the one piece of gear you can't live without?
So, see, I love my synthesizer. I love my EX7. It is my baby, which is another reason why I'm not taking it to shows anymore. But, like, if it comes down to it, like I don't know, like I look at like different setups and stuff, and like, granted, I'm using a computer, so that's pretty much essential. Like, I'm using a computer to record and write my music, and that's essential for the most part. If I wasn't using a computer, then I would be using a synthesizer, hardware synthesizer with a sequencer and all that kind of stuff, which my Yamaha EX7 does have, and some kind of recording device. So I don't know if there's actually anything. Yeah, that has a sequencer in it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I have anything that I'm like, that is essential, because it just depends on the setup, right? Like, it's just adapting to whatever your setup is. Like, yeah, that's the kind of the way I look at it. Like, I don't want to get rid of my EX7, and I likely won't. But it's like, when it comes down to it, it's like, do I actually need it? It's more of a want than anything. Like, if there's any, like I was saying, if there's anything that is needed, it's probably the digital audio workstation, because that's how I'm recording everything. So, but like, I even look at that situation, it's like, well, is it needed? Because then, like, you look at, like, I have a Tascam Porta Studio 414, which is a 4-track tape cassette recorder. So my first couple of albums was done with that, and granted, I was using a piece of software as well, and then recording it onto the tape, and then doing vocals and guitars, and then recording it back into the computer or whatever. But like, it just depends on the setup, really. Like, I don't know if there's a necessity outside of recording gear. That's the way I look at it. So it's either going to be a digital audio workstation, or it's going to be a unit to record your audio with. That's I think, out of everything, that is probably the minimum that you need. Like you could even, like, you don't even have to have an instrument. You like like some of the new little portable recording devices have mics built into them, so it's like you can get really fucking experimental, and it's like you can take your little recording device, as long as it's battery powered, and go out in the environment and pick up a rock, and that's your drum or whatever. You hit it against something, and yeah, I think that would be the minimum, is just some kind of recording device. That's what I view as an essential item, or a thing, either a solid unit or a standalone unit, or a computer-based setup.
That's very practical.
Yeah. Well, it's like I have this philosophy, like, even with synthesizers, it's like, you know, it's not the gear that you have, but it's how you use it. So it's like, you know, maybe you don't have fucking like Access Virus TI or whatever the fuck it is. Like, that's probably one of the most versatile synthesizers out there. And
Or what is the industry standard nowadays?
yeah, it was the industry standard, at least back in the late 2000s or early 2000s. But like, it's how like for me, I got the synth that I have, my Yamaha EX7, because it had everything that I needed. And I'm of the thinking, like, if you're gonna get a synthesizer, you know, like, get the thing you want. Don't get a bunch of cheap shit that you're like, well, I'm gonna get this for now because it's cheap now. And because what you'll end up doing is you'll go, okay, well, I'm done with this unit, so I'm gonna go and sell it, and you've just wasted a bunch of money on buying all this cheaper shit when you didn't go for what you really want. And that's, the EX7 was what I really wanted. And everyone has a different, you know, they see things, you know, for me the Yamaha EX7 is a good synth. Somebody else is going to have a different idea of what a good synth is. So it really is like, it's how you use the gear. It's not you know, it's not the gear itself. Like, yeah.
I don't know who said it, but you know, if you don't know how to use the resources that you have, then they will never be enough.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm in that mindset. Unless, you know, I would much rather than getting like new synthesizers, I've been spending an eternity trying to figure out the core Triton and what it's capable of doing before I decide to go out and buy another synthesizer.
Oh, totally. And there's ways you can kind of hack your way around things too. Like there's probably something I can do in my synthesizer that no one has thought of doing, but it's like, you know, like there's ways of doing things. You just have to be resourceful and creative, and like you know, maybe I want to create a fucking like I don't know, some kind of synth sound where it's pulsing or something, and it's like, you know, how do I do that with this synth when on another synth it would be really fucking easy to do that, but it's like you're actually being resourceful, and by using the gear that you have rather than going out and buying something that, you know, that you'll use a couple of times just for a specific sound. Like if like for instance, I'll use the Access Virus TI as an example. Like, yeah, that synth can literally do anything. But if I'm looking to create a sound much like the Access Virus TI, for me, I don't think, oh, I need the Access Virus TI, or I want the Access Virus TI. I would actually go, okay, I look at my Yamaha EX7 and it's like, yeah, let's see how I can build a fucking sound in this thing that sounds similar to this sound in the Access Virus TI. And it's about being resourceful with what you have, and you know, not getting caught up in like gear acquisition syndrome or gas or whatever you want to call it. It's, you know, like even like I have a Yamaha DX100, and you know, it's an FM synth, but like, granted I rarely use it, but you know, I've created like these weird abrasive, like, you know, synth sounds in it, and I've recorded them as well. And yeah, it's how you use the gear. It's not the gear itself, it's how you use it. Anyway, I went off on a tangent.
It's all good. Are you fully emptied?
I am fully emptied.
Excellent. Was it satisfying?
It was very satisfying.
Excellent. Always enjoy a satisfying bathroom break.
Yes.
Don't edit that out.
I'm not going to. I'm going to keep that.
So after talking about Brooke's satisfying bathroom break.
You're not gonna let that go, are you?
No. We're going to reference that several more times. No.
I'll put it on repeat at the end of the video. At the end of the video, I'll just say, bathroom break, bathroom break, bathroom break, bathroom break.
No, Brooke's successful Bathroom.
Yeah, sure.
Say that 3 times fast. Holy cow.
Jesus.
Wow.
Brooke's successful bath break.
Bath break.
Yeah.
My tongue's twisted already,
Yeah, right?
just by thinking about it.
I'm amazed I got it out the first time without tripping over that, so. Okay. I hear you have an upcoming album.
Yes.
How would you say it differs from your past albums?
So, obviously we released Chaos Create in, was it January, I think? And I literally, after that process ended writing that, I basically started the next thing after that. That's the thing for me, is like I don't really stop the creative process. It's like, okay, this album's done, let's get to the next one. And the difference between Chaos Create and the next thing that I have in the tank, I'm not gonna say what it is yet because I don't want to give that away. But it's different because I was actually feeling like a little bit, I wouldn't say directionless, but after like the series of events that have happened in the last couple of years with the pandemic and stuff, I've kind of felt like I needed to reassess and reevaluate, you know, what I'm doing and what I'm trying to achieve and my goals and stuff like that, because I don't feel like, I want to be a rock star and all that kind of thing. Like that's still a thing, but it's like, well, how do I want to be that? Do I want to be, a capitalist asshole, or do I want to be more conscious about the things I'm doing? I'm not saying that that was what I was doing initially, but like being a bit more proactive in current issues and really putting out positive messages out there, and not being so much concerned with yes, I want to be, like I said, yes, I want to be a rock star, but it's like I'm not as the difference between like the Chaos Creed and this album is that I just needed to reevaluate, and I felt like not that the things I wanted were unattainable, but I want things to be sustainable, and I want things to be realistic, and I don't want to be out of touch with what's going on around in the world. And I feel like if I was to continue on the same path, it's just kind of like in a way I would have been kind of like a capitalist asshole in a sense, because it's like, yeah, I want to be a rich rock star and all this and that, and it's like I don't feel like that is a very positive thing, and I think I need to be more active in my communities, not just the neighborhood, but like, the Guelph industrial community and all that kind of stuff, and just really I'm not sure how to articulate it. Like, it's just I don't want to. I want to make sure I'm putting a positive message out there, and I want to make sure that I'm not, doing things that would come into question whether or not I was being inauthentic. And I will tell you, I did write a manifesto. For this coming thing, or sort of a manifesto, and it's not something like like a communist manifesto or whatever. It's more of like a manifesto on like how I want to move forward from with all the current events and like the war in Ukraine and like the whole Trump thing, and the current state of like politics in the U.S. and even things here in Canada, like one of the things that really stuck out for me was I felt like even here in Canada, and even the parties that I normally align with, I felt like they were really out of touch, and I felt like it's all the same, you know, pedantic bullshit, and it's just like I'm tired of that. Like I'm tired of seeing the same fucking things. Cause like I will be honest, like yeah, I like Jagmeet Singh as the NDP leader, but at the same time, it's like you look at the way he was going about in the last Canadian election. You know, you look at the last election, and you look at every single party, and it's like it's the same fucking shit over and over and over and over again. They have the same bullshit. Like they have the same 2 or 3 people in the background when they're giving their speech. It's this person, this person, and this person.
They have their heads buried in the same sand.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just the same shit over and over and over again. I feel like there needs to be a change, and I feel like I do feel like we can't continue on the same path that we have been on, and I feel like politics needs to change. I feel like, you know, that's the thing with this album that I have in the tank. Like, where was I going with this?
Do you see Twitch as being a political band in general?
I would say that we definitely, with this next thing, it's definitely more political, but it's not. It's because that's what the environment has kind of forced me into, because I feel like things need to change, and I feel like if these things aren't said and you know, if we're not taking an active role in the things that are going on around us, that will be honest, they will like fall in on us, and that's the thing. Like this next thing, like it's I actually kind of feel that I've lost a lot of faith in the political system here in Canada, and like you look at what's going on around in the world and that as well, and I feel like, you know, one of the main messages on this next thing is that we don't need to have these leaders, you know, we don't need to wait for government to change these things. We can go out and change these things on our own, and I think that is like one of the main points of this next thing, is that we don't need to be waiting around for governments or these leaders to hear us. We can do these things on our own, and then hopefully the government goes, okay, they're doing this stuff, they obviously want this, so maybe we should, you know, do something about it, you know, and that's kind of how it's different. Like there isn't a lot of like, you know, like the messaging is positive, but there isn't a whole lot of like, you know, fun stuff, because there's some stuff that is definitely like, yeah, let's get on the fucking dance floor and fucking destroy the dance floor or whatever, but there's, you know, those there are those songs on there like that, but like I haven't felt like, at least when writing this thing, that there has been a lot of like, I feel like it's a little bit weird to be doing like a lot of the fun stuff, because I feel like if I do that, it's kind of slightly out of touch, because, you know, people are wanting change. At least the way I see it is that people are actually wanting change, and I feel like I need to speak that, because that's the way I feel. I feel I need to speak that from myself, and I feel like, yeah, so.
Ultimately, I think what Shayne is trying to say is that it's not really our intention to be a political band. However, in this day and age,
Yeah.
it's very hard to stay apolitical
Yeah.
because politics has so much of an impact in our daily lives.
Yeah.
And if it happens to inspire the music that we write, then so be it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the thing. Like that's pretty much the gist of it. There is some stuff on there where it's like, okay, can't be, always serious. There is some stuff that's, getting out your fucking physical, aggression or whatever the fuck it is. But for the most part, it is the next thing is definitely more political. So.
I have a follow-up question for
Sure.
you, just to go on this tangent for a
Sure.
second. During Brooke's successful bathroom break, we were talking about how you've spent the last couple of years reading mainly political philosophy and political ideology.
Yeah.
Gary is going for his successful bathroom break.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's successful. Do you think that the political philosophy and ideology that you've been reading has affected your writing or the message that you're putting in your music?
There's definitely stuff that has been influenced, like for instance, I read Noam Chomsky's. It's right there. Consequences of Capitalism. Granted, he's more anarcho-syndicalist, which is anarchist, but he believes in industrial democracy, where it's kind of like the factory workers partially own or have a say in the direction of factories and stuff, and industrial factories and stuff, which has there's a lot of that stuff has definitely influenced what I was writing. There's stuff that I do agree with, I'm kind of in between social democracy and industrial. I think they can coexist, industrial democracy and social democracy, because I do think that workers need to have more say in what's going on in factories and stuff, and they need to be heard. And I think that we can't get into these situations like Amazon where they treat their workers like shit. They pay them poorly, and I think that if you were to look at Amazon as an example, the workers need to have more control over that, because we're running into these situations where it's they're getting treated poorly, and oh, you're not doing the work, we're firing you and finding someone else. And I don't think that's fair. Granted, not everything is fair, but I don't think that's fair to the workers. I don't think it's so the political reading I've been doing over the last couple of years has definitely influenced the new thing. So
Next question. Back to Twitch the band. What are your plans for the upcoming year?
Okay, so we've got 2 more shows in the summer, one in July, on July 15th, and one on August 25th.
Plug yourself.
Yeah.
Where are they?
The one in July is at Coffee Clutch. It's a Friday, July 15th. We'll be playing with Skull Partitioner at Six Ring. I might add another band to the bill just to make it a little bit different, because this last show that we did, I had to fucking find a band at the last minute because the 2 previous bands had to cancel. And so I had to find a band at the last minute, and Undead Six Ring ended up taking that opportunity to fill that slot. But I feel like the show's going to be the same lineup again in July, so I feel like I need to change it up a little bit. So I might add another band to the bill. We'll see. And then in August 25th, it's Thursday. It's at Broken City. We'll be playing with Brooke's project Pandemic 9, as well as another project called The Pact Between Strangers, who Brooke introduced me to that individual. What would you call his music? Is it industrial noise?
Industrial noise.
Yeah.
Something along that line.
Yeah, so There's that, and then September, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I might take the month off of doing music, and then we have a show in November that we'll be playing at Dickens.
The first Dickens show that we played in since 2015.
Yeah, something like that. I can't even remember. Were you even a part of the Dickens?
I wasn't even a part of Twitch at the
Yeah.
time.
I can't remember when our first Dickens show was, but we're playing Dickens. We're opening up Dickens for a metal and punk show with burlesque or something like that.
Yeah, with burlesque, and there will be a drag performance as well.
And I think it's November 15th or 16th. I can't quite recall, but it's a ways off, so we have some time to plan for it. But I'm kind of seeing what I want to do. I'm not sure if September I'm going to take off, or if what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to release the new album then, because I sort of feel like I'm kind of running to the end of the course for Chaos Create, and I think I need to do something new. But we'll see what these next couple of shows brings. I have some live streams I'm also planning previous to these two shows in the summer, and I'll be doing those as well. And then we'll see how things kind of are, and if people are still seem to be interested in Chaos Create, then I'll continue to do that until November, and then I think late November, I'll release the new album, and failing that, I'll release the new album in January, and then kind of start that whole cycle again and do a series of shows. And I actually plan on hitting some places that I haven't before, like Saskatoon. I might, Saskatoon. Saskatoon. We've already done Edmonton, but I want to do Edmonton again because it was fun, and I think it'd be good to go visit some friends out there as well, and might as well do a show while I'm there. And hit Saskatoon. There might be a trip I go on out east to visit with a friend and kind of check out the scene there. Not check it out, but make some connections out there and stuff, just so I can start planning to do shows out there.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if that works out. But that's kind of the plan so far. I'm already working on something new. That's kind of the plan so far. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing. Yeah.
What are you going to do differently, personally or professionally, from the last year? Heck, I'm going to expand on this.
Sure.
I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to combine two questions.
Sure.
From the beginning of the pandemic.
What are we doing differently?
Yeah. How has it changed Twitch?
Well, like I said earlier, with this thing that's in the tank that I'm gonna release either in late fall or early next year. Definitely more political. I'm not sure how much is going to change. I think the messaging is definitely changing a little bit. But as far as performance and stuff, I might be trying out a drummer soon here. We've already tried him out a couple of times. We'll see if he works out. But I don't know if anything's really going to change so much in the live performance. Obviously we're always trying to improve on that, and, so obviously that's changing all the time. But as far as other stuff, I don't know if anything's really going to change, other than I'm trying to get out to different places like Edmonton and Saskatoon, and maybe out east sometime, or maybe even Vancouver at some point in time, play a show out there, or Victoria, one of the two. I'm trying to expand the reach of Twitch and get out there more. I I want to try doing something a little different, but I'm not. I would like to try doing more shows. I know Brooke is not really down for doing more than one show a month, but I would like to, try and do more shows a month. But like every promoter that I've talked to in Calgary seems to have the opinion that more than one show a month is too much. But granted, maybe that's how it works for them. That might not be the way it works for me. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think if anything, the getting out there and the trying to do more shows is that those are the things that are going to change. So
Okay.
yep.
Where, both of you guys, where do you find endless inspiration from?
It could be random for the most part. Just, I could be hearing notes in my head for, really for the most part. I think a good example, I mean, one time when I was moving into my apartment down in the Southwest, and I heard my, now ex, hum something, and that sparked an idea of what I wanted to do for a song called Elevator Music of Impending Doom, which almost has a 9 Inch Nails type of feel to it, something similar to something I Could Never Have, where he's modulating between B major and B minor. Over the course of last year, when I was working in film throughout half of 2021, I wasn't really getting intimately involved in any writing, recording, but any ideas that I had at the top of my head, just at random, as soon as I had access to my some recording equipment, immediately grab my guitar or my keyboard or what have you, and write and record it down, do just a rough recording, and then by the time I finished work, and I had some time off to just sit back and listen to what I had and just see what I could piece together, and that was basically how I composed the 17-minute track called Rest and Compromise, which is on my newest album, Stellar Parallax. So yeah, I mean, I could get ideas anywhere at random, what people are saying, what I hear on the news, or, any... this is something I know most psychiatrists do not want to hear. But sometimes I would dream notes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right.
I see why they wouldn't say counselor.
She's a counselor in training.
Yeah, actually, that, and I heard, and there was actually one dream where I was hearing a melody or an arpeggio, and as soon as I woke up, I still had that melody fresh in my head. Immediately rushed down to my DAW and started piecing together those notes. Hence, thus came up for a title for a song called REM, which is part of on my revamp album. Because I was practically in a REM state.
Yeah.
Just to add some, just to calm the whole psychiatrist idea there, I think a lot of artists find inspiration in sleep. Like, I've heard vocalists or songwriters wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and literally scribble something down, not remember it, and wake up the next morning and be like, what the fuck did I just write down?
I've done that before.
Yeah. So
and that's what I try to do.
absolutely
Is
normal.
I try to record it as soon as I can before I forget about it later on.
That is my non-professional, still have 2 years of school left, but I would assume that that's absolutely normal considering
Yeah.
every artist does it, so
I think
you're good.
I think for me, like, I'm always in a creative state. Like, I don't stop. Like, I may stop to celebrate the last thing, but I won't. After that celebration, I'll just kick into the next thing. And for me, like, you know, you look at the world and it's like there is so much to write about. There's so much to be inspired by. You look at the weather, rain, inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the city skyline, urban environments, inspiration. There's, or it could be a music video, or it could be another song. It could be a guitar riff. It could be something you dream. It could be, you know, it can be anything. And like, I don't know if, you know, I don't actually believe writer's block is a real thing. I actually think it's I don't think it's because like the way I look at it is like there's days where I don't feel especially creative those days, but I'm not gonna, like, for me it's like I'm just gonna sit down and do something. Like, I have a dedicated day. Actually, today is it. My gear is on here today, but I have a dedicated day that I sit down and write something. And it doesn't matter how I feel, I will just write something anyway. And maybe it does sound like shit, but the thing is that I can set it down, and when I'm in a more creative state, come back to it and go, hey, now I can fuck around with this, and you know, whatever. So I don't think it is a little bit of a force. Like, sometimes you. I don't know if forcing it is the right word. It's like force is not the right word. It's dedication. It's like, every Saturday, outside of extenuating circumstances, I will write something, and it's not so much as forcing myself to do it, but it's just it's a dedication thing where it's like, I'm dedicated to doing it this day, and whatever comes out. That's the way it is, and like, but like, there's so much to be inspired about. There's books, anything and everything. I think another part of it, at least for me, is like I have a goal as far as like, you know, by the time I die, how many albums I want to have released and stuff like that. And so that does play into it a little bit, because I would like to reach that goal before I die. Whether I reach or not, we'll see. I am behind on that goal, but but that's one of the reasons why I will continue the creative process when I've done one thing and continue the next. Like, I think it was last year, the year before, I released 2 albums in a year, and I feel like that's sustainable, and I feel like if I can do that again this year, why the fuck not?
Didn't you do a challenge?
The last, not Chaos Create, but actually Chaos Create, there was a bit of a challenge there as well. But the thing before Chaos Create, Darkness Rise, that album, I decided to do a time challenge, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself a month. I want to see if I can write an entire album in a month, and basically, I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do that, I'm doing it every day, and I was still working and stuff like that. So immediately I would come home, have something to eat, and then get into the writing and recording process. And I was doing it every day, and what I thought was gonna take a month actually only took me 2.5 weeks. So I literally wrote an album in 2.5 weeks, and.
Can you explain the process to the listeners and viewers? What writing, like, that's literally pen to paper to final production, right?
When I say written an entire album, that was just the writing process. So some of the, granted, some of the lyrics were already pre-written, but I made sure because I had already decided that I was going to do a time challenge, and I made sure when I was writing the lyrics that, you know, I was timing myself, and, but like from concept to completion, outside of like the mastering, the mixing and mastering, it took me 2.5 weeks to write the entire thing.
That's
Musically.
Yeah.
And like recording vocals, all the pieces, all the guitars, all the synth lines, all that kind of stuff. It was all done in 2.5 weeks, and then I can't remember when I came back to it to mix it. I think it was a couple weeks later, and I had done a boot camp for mixing and mastering, and then I mixed and mastered it. I considered that outside of the challenge because that's an entirely different process, but yeah. And then of course, after Darkness Rise, I did the EP Pandemic Vampire, and then after that I did Chaos Create, and Chaos Create was a little different because with Darkness Rise I did everything, like I did all the guitars, all that kind of stuff. Chaos Create, I still did a time challenge, but it wasn't like, I wanted to, time challenge in the sense I just wanted to write it as quickly as I could. And it took me a month to get everything on my side done, but I was also enlisting a couple other people. There was Mark Gray who did bass guitar for it, and there was also Elijah Hennig who did the guitars. And so that process took a little longer. When I handed them off to Mark to get the bass stuff onto the track, he was pretty prompt about it. I think he had everything done fairly quickly, but then handing him over to Elijah, a little different. He lives in Edmonton, and he professionally is well, he has a day job, but he also gets paid to do like session work, session guitars and stuff like that. So you know, he was at his job plus doing the session work plus doing our stuff on top of it, so it took him a little longer to get the parts to me, but yeah, and then that was kind of like Chaos Create. And then the thing after Chaos Create that's coming, I didn't really do a challenge per se. I tried to write it as quickly as I could, but I also realized in the process that I wanted to take more time with it and really develop the sound and stuff like that. So yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Last question. Is it two-parter? If you could play a show anywhere in the world, where would it be? And the second part of the question is, who would you play that show with, and why?
I would say Mariluna in Germany or some similar festival, and anywhere in Europe for that matter. And with any band that we like, honestly, whether it's Nine Inch Nails or Frontline Assembly or Skinny Puppy,
Yeah.
Anybody that plays with any similar music that we do.
Yeah.
You know, just so we can engage with more people
Yeah.
who are into the kind of things that we are into. And I mean, that's ultimately the goal. I mean, unlike Shayne, I'm not really interested in being a rock star. I just want to get my music out there to people who are into the kind of things that I'm into,
Yeah.
for the most part.
One of my dreams is to play with Katja or Mariluna or something like that, something out in Germany. I've always wanted to play out there and play the fests out there, so that I would love to play one of those fests. Granted, I'd love to play all over the world, but I think that is one of the key ones. And as far as like who, I don't care who the fuck it is, as long as they, like, it would be cool to do something with Nine Inch Nails, but I've also seen that a lot of bands that have toured with Nine Inch Nails have also kind of flopped a little bit. in their success, like Crystal Castles, like they were a thing, and then they toured with Nine Inch Nails, and on the Lights in the Sky tour, and you know they kind of fell apart after that. Not to say that the Nine Inch Nails tour is cursed or anything, because I don't think it is, but it just seems like everything that comes off those tours doesn't seem to do very well afterwards. But there's probably exceptions to that. I would say, but outside of that, like it could be anyone that I honestly I don't care who the fuck it is. As long as it's appropriate, like I don't want to play with a bunch of pop bands, I don't want to play with country bands or something, unless it was like a fucking like, oh, we would like you to come on tour with us, and you're gonna be playing to a crowd of country people, and it's like, okay, well we're gonna fuck them up. They're probably gonna throw beer bottles at us.
Yeah, exactly. You really want us to get booed off the stage, or
Yeah.
worse,
Yeah.
have shit thrown at us?
Yeah. But
That's not. Yeah, didn't something like that happen to Jimi Hendrix, where he opened for the Monkees, and
I have no idea.
all the fucking teeny boppers just booed him right off stage and started throwing shit at him?
Yeah, I don't know. I know.
Well, the Monkees were practically the Backstreet Boys of that era. So.
Yeah, I know. In Nine Inch Nails' early days, they did a tour with Guns N' Roses, and I guess apparently like everybody in the crowd, everybody in the crowd was like booing at them and shit. And I guess apparently there was a kid in the crowd, one kid in the crowd wearing a Nine Inch Nails shirt. Yeah, I, it would be kind of fun to do something like that, but at the same time, I don't know. I'd rather play with people that are somewhat alike, but musically that is. I'm not really interested in outside of the scene stuff. I guess it's kind of dependent on what it is, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And if people outside of the scene do happen to like what we do, great.
Yeah.
And if they don't, well,
Yeah.
it's not a big loss.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd say thanks for coming out, but I came over to your house.
Yeah,
So
well, whatever.
thanks, Sal, for coming out.
Thank you, Katja. Thank you.
Thanks for taking time out of your day for.
We're gonna remind the listeners / audio that Brooke did have a successful bathroom break.
Yes, Brooke did have a successful bathroom break.
Just to bring that up one last time.
Shiitake mushrooms.
All right. Ciao.